YouTube Live, and today I'm going to show you how I made a card. Well, hopefully, if I can get my camera set the right way and not so far up on the page. I'm going to show you how I made a card with the Waterfall Canyon stamp set from Stampin' Up! And the new Waterfall dies, and they are amazing and pretty, and yes, definitely you need them. So I'll tell you a little bit more about the dies in just a second, but they are coming up from Stampin' Up! And you'll be able to get them beginning on September 1st. All right, so this is the card we're going to be making, and again, it's kind of just a pretty basic little birthday card. I tried to make it, I did put some flowers on it, but you don't have to put the flowers on it if you want it to be a little bit more of a masculine card, but I figured that men can look at flowers too, so it's all okay either way. So this is the card we're going to be making today, and this is the Waterfall Canyon stamp set. This is one from the current annual catalog, and it's really pretty. It's got some great images in it, and it is a reversible stamp set, so I'll be showing you today how to use those. And of course, I forgot my chamois completely, so oh well, we'll call it good. We'll get it figured out one way or the other. Hey Carol, thanks for joining today. All right, so this is the Waterfall Canyon stamp set. Like I said, it's got some pretty images, reversible, and again, I'll show you how those work once I get going on the stamping. So there is a new set of dies that will be coming out starting on, hey Christy, thanks for hopping in, starting on September 1st. These will be available for customers to order. They're available right now for demonstrators to order. So if you are not a demonstrator, you can join and add these cool dies to your starter kit. So definitely something to think about. But this is a great set of dies. They obviously, like I said, coordinate with the stamped images, the little mountain, the waterfall, the trees, the greenery images, the bridge. So all of the open dies coordinate, and the clouds as well, and the rocks. So all the open images coordinate with one of the stamped images here. And then there are a bunch of accessory pieces. So there are the little flowers that I used. There are kind of a little bit larger lily looking flowers, some greenery to go with your flowers. There are leaves. There are kind of, I don't know, these, I think it's supposed to look like grass, but kind of a grassy look that can go up along the tops of the little mountain die cuts. I used what to me looked like, I don't know whether it's moss or something, you know, greenery growing downward on it. So that's what these images are. There is a rock image, birds. So again, it's just a really, really good die set, and they are available again beginning on September 1st. So it is a fun set, definitely. Hey, Penny, thanks for everything. And Stampin' with Jill, thanks for hopping in as well. All right. And I totally did not set up my die cutting machine. I'm just a mess today. Hold on. Let me go grab that before I go any further. I thought I was all set up, but I am clearly not. Goodness. Yes, that would be very bad if I forgot that. So this is what happens. Like I said, we got school starting for one of the kids next week, and I'm just running in circles. All right, a couple other things. Hey, Vicki, thanks for hopping in. A couple other things I used on this is I used one of these stitched rectangle dies, and it's the largest of the stitched rectangle dies that I used to cut out the kind of just the general background here for my card front. So let me set that aside, and hello, thanks Anne and Melinda, thanks for hopping in. And then the sentiment is actually from the Wildflower Path stamp set. So I just wanted a general happy birthday one that I stuck in here, again, just from this stamp set. All right, so let's get going. Good, hold on one second. This is what happens when I set things up in the morning, and then it's afternoon. It's crazy, so I apologize. Normally I'm not quite this crazily, you know, it's not quite, anyway, I'm not quite as much of a mess, but today apparently I am. So, hey, Avis, thanks for hopping in. So, all right, so we've got the Perfect Partners. That is the new die set that I was talking about. These are coming up starting September 1st for customers to order. So they are die sets that are currently in either the annual catalog or the mini catalog, and they've got some new dies that are coming, and they'll be available to order starting on the 1st of September through the end of September while supplies last. So if there are any die sets on here that you're wanting, and if you have the stamp sets, you definitely want the die sets, make sure you get them ordered early in September so that you don't miss out on getting them. Stamp one that matches the Apple Harvest stamp set, fresh cut flowers, this little birthday piggy stamp set, the Trimming the Trees, Waterfall Canyon, and then the Yeti to Party. So these are all new die sets. They have lots of accessory pieces with them. One other great thing about it is if it's a stamp set you've been considering getting but didn't because it didn't have dies and you're like me and want the bundle, Stampin' Up! Actually has bundle pricing on the stamps and dies if you buy them together during September. Or you can just buy the dies, or you can just get the stamp set, but why would you just do that if you didn't, get the dies. You're gonna love them. So again, September 1st to September 30th while supplies last on these awesome new die sets. Couple new celebration items that are going on. Stampin' Up! Celebration event is happening now through the end of August. They've got some new items that are available for free with orders of $50 or $100. If you're unfamiliar with Celebration, let me know. I'll be happy to chat with you more about it, but probably most of you know about Celebration and how it works. But for every 50 or 100 that you order, you get to pick something free from Stampin' Up! Through the end of August. So let me know if you have questions on that. And then really quickly, World Card Making Day, it's a little ways off, but coming up, and I just want to keep reminding you about it, we've got a team event going on all day long on Saturday, October 1st for World Card Making Day, and we'll just be setting up a Facebook page and doing some live presentations to y'all for some card making ideas. And then Stampin' Up! Has also got during that day a card making event that they're doing in the afternoon. And there are some bundles that you're able to purchase ahead of time if you want to stamp along with Stampin' Up! And if you purchase any of the bundles between now and October 1st, you're going to get a free pack of the Iridescent Pearl Basic Jewels with the bundle. So the two bundles that you can get right now are Cottage Rose and Cottage Wreaths. And then starting September 1st, there's a new bundle called Warm Welcome. And this is a bundle that will be coming from the upcoming January to June 2023 mini catalog. So this is a brand new bundle that demonstrators and customers will be able to order beginning on September 1st. And again, if you order the bundle on any of these three between now and October 1st, you get a free pack of pearls with the bundles. All right. Phew. Let me know if you have questions on any of that. Let's get started, and I'll see what else I forgot to get out because, yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of things. So, all right, so I did a little die cutting ahead of time. This is basic white cardstock that I cut with the largest of the stitched rectangle dies. So pretty basic die cut there. And I'm going to get my blending brushes and Coastal Cabana ink to start with. And I'm going to start just going to ink up the blending brush, do a little brush over here just to make sure I don't have a glob of ink anywhere. And then we're going to start putting some ink on the panel that I've die cut. I'm going to try to keep this to about the top quarter of the panel with my Coastal Cabana, although I am going to do a little bit of a dip down in the center here, just because there's a little dip in how the stamped images come together. There's a little kind of valley or whatever. So I just want to make sure that I'm trying to get a little bit of what looks like sky done in that area so that it's not just plain white underneath. And I think do one more little swirl on here and we'll call it good on the Coastal Cabana. And then we'll move on and grab crumb cake. So let me close this up and get this out of the way. And I apologize, the air conditioner of course decided to turn on full blast here while we were while I was talking. It does that, I don't know, inevitably. I guess maybe I need to pick earlier in the day when it's a little cooler outside or something, I don't know. All right, so I've got crumb cake ink that I'm using the blending brush, and I'm just adding a little bit of a light layer of crumb cake around the edge. It doesn't need to be done perfectly or perfectly blended. It's just trying to get it so that it's not such a stark kind of white contrast when you start adding your die cut pieces over the top of it. So I just wanted it to be a little bit inked on the background, but not necessarily be any one particular color. All right, there we go. Hey, and actually you're not really late. I started really late today because school stuff. We'll just say that. All right, so next thing I did was I grabbed my Stamparatus and I'm going to stamp the birthday sentiment on here. You don't have to use the Stamparatus if you don't want to, but I just found it a little bit easier to do that so that I could line it up and make sure that I got a really good image since I already had inked the background on this. So I'm going to tuck the die cut up here into the corner as far as it'll go. And then I'm going to put my little happy birthday sentiment up here, kind of centered, hopefully straight. And then I'm going to grab it with the lid to my Stamparatus, or the I guess this isn't a lid, whatever it is, the panel. And then I'm going to do Coastal Cabana ink. We're just going to ink this up and stamp it down. And I'm probably going to go ahead and give it a second inking just because I want it to be a good and dark image on here. All right. And that's the advantage of the Stamparatus, is that you can get it stamped a second time in exactly the same spot. All right, let me get the Stamparatus up and out of the way and close up the ink pad before I stick my fingers in it. Then we're going to grab some Coastal Cabana cardstock. This is cut to about 5 1/4 by about 3 7/8, and it should layer perfectly underneath my die cut panel here. Okay, I can tell already. I should have known what to start with. This was going to be one of those days. So throwing things around, got, anyway. All right, Stampin' Seal. We are using a little Stampin' Seal to adhere the two pieces together here. And again, just kind of trying to get it centered and straight. All right, hopefully we got that. You have the stamps and need the dies. Yes, the dies are awesome. You're gonna love them. Definitely, definitely. So, all right, I am gonna start doing a little bit of stamping here. And I got a couple little pieces of basic white cardstock. So I'm gonna start with Coastal Cabana on my little waterfall image. And these are reversible stamps, so they work a little bit differently. They look a little different than the typical photopolymer stamp sets do. So you're going to notice that one side of it is textured. So I don't know if you can see it, how well you can see it on the video, but this side is the textured side, or the more detailed side. So I'm going to ink that with Coastal Cabana ink. And try to get a good solid inking on here. And I am going to be die cutting this, so it doesn't necessarily matter. Whoop. I see a spot that doesn't look very inked on that. I'll probably grab this piece of paper. It's a little bit wider. It doesn't really matter how it lands on the cardstock because I'm going to be die cutting it, so it doesn't have to be straight. All right. And then normally, if I had set up my chamois and planned ahead, I would have cleaned it with my chamois and then flipped it over and stuck the detailed side down on the block. So it's now the solid side that's up. And then we're going to ink that as well. And you'll notice that it inks the whole thing up. And I'm going to stamp it off because I didn't want the full strength look. Actually, I need to ink that a second time because my stamping off didn't work very well because I was yakking and not paying attention. All right, that looks a little better. And then these don't line up perfectly, but they line up fairly close. So I'm just going to try to make sure that I've got it lined up, again, fairly close, and just going to stamp the solid image right over the top of the more detailed one. And that's the effect that you get. So they're definitely cool stamps. So, all right, so that is the waterfall image. And we're going to do the same thing with the little mountain images. So I'm going to start with soft suede ink, and we're going to stamp those here on another panel of basic white cardstock. And again, I've got the more detailed images up. And just going to ink that in soft suede. Stamp it here on the basic white cardstock. Same thing with the other one. Stamping it on basic white cardstock. All right, now comes the fun part. With this one, they're reversible, but you have to also reverse the how you stamp it, if that makes sense. So you'll see in 1 second. All right, so I'd used this one originally to stamp this image. When I take it and flip it over to do the reverse, I actually am going to use it to do the reverse inking of this image. So when you flip the detailed mountain images over in this one, you have to do the opposite. You're going to do the inking with the opposite, if that makes sense. So I've got crumb cake ink, and I'm going to ink up the more solid side with crumb cake ink. And again, they don't line up perfectly, but they line up reasonably well. Just going to stamp that right over the top. Same thing on this one. Inking it up with crumb cake ink. And then flipping it over here and stamping it right over the top. Just like that. And so that gives you like a two-tone kind of look to it for all of them. So it's a cool stamp set. Very, very cool stamp set. All right, let me grab the dies and I'll show you the coordinating dies here. So I have got the Waterfall Die. The die shape does coordinate with the lined image more than the reverse image, if that makes sense. So when you go to cut them out, when I lined mine up, I tried to line it up as best I could with the lined image or more detailed image than the outline image. All right, so there we go. So we've got those three. I'm going to run this through the die cutting machine off screen for just 1 second. So hang on and I will be right back. Grab the other one here and try to get those lined up. Hopefully you are enjoying your day. It's a warm one here in New Jersey. Definitely summer has come back. It sort of went away for a little bit, but yeah, it's back. It's hot today. All right. Grab the die cuts and the dies. All right, there we go. So now we're going to start sticking things together, and I did do quite a bit of the die cutting ahead of time just so that you didn't have to sit and watch me die cut things over and over again 50 billion times. So I'm going to start with some of the little greenery pieces. So there are these little greenery images. And of course now I've got my dies all piled up in a mess. So the greenery, let me just take these off here. So the greenery dies are these two. These are the ones that I use to die cut, and this is Granny Apple Green ink Granny Apple Green cardstock that I used. And I'm just going to take my multi-purpose liquid glue and gonna kind of dab it around here a little bit on the die cut because there are little almost perforations that it cuts into it. And I just didn't want to have a bunch of glue oozing out. So if you put a few dots on rather than covering it completely, you're good to go on that. And no worries, Karen, glad you're here. And I'm glad you're liking the stamp set. It's really cool. Like I said, it's a good one. Love that you can flip it over. Sometimes the reversible stamps I don't always love because they don't match up quite as well as I would like them to. But this set I think really works, so I like it. All right, and I'm going to stick these two together. Again, just using little dabs of the multi-purpose liquid glue to stick the greenery over the top of the little mountains. And then to get the general layout of where things are going to go, I'm just going to place these here. And then through the magic of television, I actually did two of them ahead of time. So again, like I said, you didn't have to sit and watch me stamp the same things over and over again. But generally just wanted to get the placement of it and figure out where I want those to be. So that looks pretty much like that's how I want it. So I'm going to start by lifting the waterfall out, and then I'm going to stick down the first one of the hills, the background hills. I'm going to tuck this up here under. I'm going to put this down, and again, before I press it and everything is set in stone, I'm going to place the waterfall over it again just to make sure that everything is where I want it to be, and then we'll press that one down and stick it down for good. Hey Carol, so glad that you're here as well. So thanks for hopping in, and Melissa. So, all right, a little bit of liquid glue here. And again, I'm going to take my little waterfall and place it right over the top just to make sure that things are going to be in the spot that I want them to be once it's stuck down for good. So I think we're still good on that. Just checking to make sure here again before everything is adhered down completely and solidly. Going to press these, try to get them to stick down well. Same thing with this one. I'm just going to take it, and we'll be doing the same process, just sticking it down kind of lightly and then coming back and making sure that the waterfall is going to land where I want it to be and that everything is covered that I want to be covered. And then stick it down with a little bit of the liquid glue. And then we've got the final one. We'll be doing the same thing here. Placing my little waterfall in the middle of it and trying to make sure that I've got everything landing where I want it to be for the final of the card. All right, I think that looks all right, so we'll go ahead and smush it down. Then next up, I'm going to grab a couple little Stampin' dimensionals, and I'm going to adhere down the waterfall. And I chop my Stampin' Dimensionals in half. If you prefer to use the whole ones or the minis, that is just fine as well. I don't know, I just like the half ones, and I've converted many people to using the half ones. Some people who swore they would never do it, and then they tried them, and then they really like them. So, but whatever you prefer, that works. All right, so there we go. We got the waterfall down there. And again, did some more die cutting ahead of time. I've got the little rocks die cut here. These are cut from gray granite cardstock and the little bridge. And again, this is the rock that I used to die cut, and this is the little bridge that I used. So we're gonna start sticking some of those things down, and I have a pair of tweezers here. I did remember my tweezers, just not much else today. So I think I'm gonna stick it on the top here, so I'll be able to handle that a little bit easier. I'm just going to put a little bit, and hopefully not too much liquid glue on the bridge. And we're just going to stick it again, try to get it so that it's fairly centered between the two hills and not crazily crooked. All right. And then let me put the cap back on that so it doesn't get all yucky. And then I'm going to grab the little rocks, and I'm actually going to use Stampin' Dimensionals to adhere those on. And I'm just going to stick one little Stampin' Dimensional basically. And again, if you prefer the minis will definitely work for this as well. So I'm just going to take that one and stick it over here. Going to take another little Stampin' Dimensional and stick the second rock on. And again, I'm trying to be careful and make sure that I've placed it down towards the bottom, because I know that I'm going to be kind of sliding it in from the bottom, and that's how I'm going to stick it down so that everything you won't have any weird lumps in your card front, because you've got, because you put your Stampin' Dimensionals down low enough that they're not in the way of any of the other die cuts. And then I'm going to take the third little rock and stick that one down here. And then I did die cut a bunch of the little trees from Pear Pizzazz cardstock. So we're going to take those, and I'm going to start with them all flipped over the wrong way. Whoop. So that I can put a little bit of liquid glue on them. And I'm just going to randomly tuck the trees sort of in and around. When I started putting them on my card, I tried to group them together by size so that I generally have know how many of each size that I had left. And some of them aren't exactly the same size, but this is a little tree die cut that I used. Again, these are from the Waterfall Dies that are going to be available to purchase beginning on September 1st. So we're just going to use a bunch of liquid glue here, and just going to run a little strip of liquid glue up the center of each of the trees here, and start tucking them in here around the waterfall. Oop, there we go, get the bottom of it in there. And I think I'll grab one of the smaller ones, and we'll tuck that in right next to the waterfall. And I totally put that on the wrong side. That's not going to work out very well. All right, tuck that one in here. And then we'll grab another one of the, maybe we'll grab the kind of more medium-sized one, which I'm about ready to put the clip on the wrong side again. A little bit of liquid glue on that one. And I think we'll kind of stick that one up maybe a little bit higher. And put one of the more medium-sized ones. Whoop, there we go, get the clip. And we'll stick that one right over here. And then just put one more that's a little bit smaller. We'll stick that one next to the others and sort of tuck it here in between. All right. So yeah, what I love about this die set is there are just lots and lots of little accessory pieces, and that's what I love. All these little things that you can stick in that add just a bunch, I think, to the look of the card. So I'm going to try to straighten out my one sort of crazy looking tree here. I did stick one on a little sideways, but that's all right. We'll maybe cover it with some flowers. So we want this one on this side. And again, just going to got the final 4 trees that I'll be tucking in around the other side of the waterfall. Maybe. There we go. All right. And I think we'll grab this one. Yeah, we'll grab it this side. Because I don't know, thinking too hard about which side to put the little clip on. Take that one and tuck it in right here. And aren't you glad you didn't have to watch me sit and die cut all of these? Because, whew, that would have been boring. So, nothing like watching cement dry. All right, we'll take that one and we will tuck that in here, kind of go underneath the rock area. Try to straighten it up just a hair because I stuck that one on crazy crooked. And then our final little tree, and we're actually almost done with the card front. We just have a few little flowers to stick on, and then we'll be sticking it on the card front and we'll be good to go. All right, and the final little tree we'll just tuck in right there. Okay, so again, these were pear pizzazz. This is granny apple green. So similar in colors, just the granny apple green's just a little bit brighter. So you can do them all the same color. You can do them all different colors, whatever you prefer. I did go ahead and cut some of the little stems for the flowers out, and I used the smaller of these two. So again, this is from the Waterfall Dies in granny apple green cardstock. And again, I'm just going to grab a little bit of that liquid glue and do the same thing we've been doing here, just adding a little bit of liquid glue on. Try not to get too carried away on this in particular because I'm actually sticking it to the rock die cuts. So I don't want to have glue oozing out everywhere on it. So I'm going to try to just put a little bit down where I need it to be, just enough to hold it, and that'll be good. And then we'll take that one and we'll kind of tuck that one in here. Whoop. Apparently that wasn't enough to hold it, just enough to stick it to my fingers, and that was all. All right. And then the final one I'm going to stick over here on the other rock. We'll add a couple little flowers and we'll be done with all the gluing. So right now, Stampin' Up! Has got a cool joining promotion going on. You get a free planner collection if you join as a demonstrator during Celebration, which runs through the end of August. So if you're interested in that, let me know. So normally whoops, I just flinged one of the flowers totally way off. Normally the starter kit, you get to pick $125 worth of Stampin' Up! Merchandise of your choice from either of the current catalogs, either or both, I should say, or any of the upcoming promotions that are demonstrator only. You pay $99, get to pick $125 worth of merchandise, and you get the free planner with it right now. So it's a really good deal. And on top of that, you can get these awesome dies ahead of time. So definitely consider that. If you're not a demonstrator, think about joining and grabbing up these dies because they're awesome. All right, I've done some die cutting. Oops, they're stuck to my finger. My fingers must be starting to get a little gluey. So I did die cutting there are two sets of these smaller flowers. And I did some die cutting ahead. I got Flirty Flamingo, Mango Melody, and Daffodil Delight are the ones the colors that I used for cutting the flowers. And again, just kind of tucking them right here around the bottom of the waterfall. And then we're going to put on another set of them over here. And it does cut in batches of 3, which is kind of nice for these smaller die cuts, which I do like it when Stampin' Up! Does that. And we don't have to do, crank it through 12 times individually to get them all cut. You can just cut them through, run them through in batches. So putting a little bit of liquid glue on the back of this one. We'll tuck it in here around the greenery and the rocks. And one more little, this is Flirty Flamingo. And there we go. Then we'll put the final 3 on, and we'll stick this on the card front, and we'll be all done. So, so have y'all checked out the new dies yet? If not, I haven't posted out on my blog today, which is stampwithamyk.com. And I'll also be posting them again tomorrow when I post all the details for this card, which I will link up in the description of the video tomorrow as soon as the blog post goes live around 8 o'clock in the morning Eastern time tomorrow. So you can go take a peek at it. So if you haven't seen the information about the dies yet, go look at my blog because it's all out there, and they're awesome. And I'm a huge sucker for dies, so pretty much if I have the stamp set and it has dies, yay, I'm good to go with that. All right, so we've got all the flowers stuck on, all the greenery stuck on, waterfall's done, stamping of the sentiment is done. Got a crumb cake card base, so we're going to stick that on. My original card is a top fold card just because that's my preferred card base, but this one also works with the regular book fold card, so it works for either one. So the dies are definitely really intricate and they're really pretty. Like I said, I love all the kind of the detailed images that it cuts with it, and so many cool accessory pieces that fit perfectly with all of the stamped and other die cut images. So, all right, using a couple Stampin' dimensionals, and we're going to stick this on the card front. Hopefully get it centered and straight. We're going to stick this on the card front. Hopefully get it centered and straight. And then on the inside of the card, I did keep it pretty simple here. So I've got just a couple of, I don't know why my video keeps buffering. I'm sorry if it is doing the same to you guys. So I'm not sure what's going on. All right, got Pear Pizzazz ink. And I've got the little tree images from the Waterfall Canyon stamp set. And I'm just going to stamp them. One of them over on this side, other one over on the other side, and we're going to be all done. All right, there we go. And again, that was Pear Pizzazz ink on basic white cardstock. This piece is cut to about 4 by 5 1/4, so it should fit perfectly inside the card base if I have everything cut and scored correctly, which most of the time I do. Sometimes not always. All right, we're going to take that and tuck it here inside the card front, or inside the card base. And grab the bone folder and do a quick crease, and we are all done with the card for today. So this is the one we made today. This is my sample that I made ahead of time. Both turned out pretty similar. Like I said, there's always little differences when you're making a handmade card, but like I said, it's a great die set. If you don't have it yet, definitely you need to get it. If you don't have the stamp set, get the bundle because it's awesome, and you save 10% if you get the stamps and dies together. So again, these dies are all going to be available September 1st through September 30th while supplies last. Again, check out all the details on my blog tomorrow, which is stampwithamyk.com. And like I said, all the cardstock cuts, colors, everything that I use will be all posted out there, so you don't have to worry if I've messed anything up, because usually I say at least 5 wrong things as far as cardstock cuts and things go when I'm talking. For next week, it's going to be a little crazy because so on Monday or on Tuesday, I will plan to be live around 4 o'clock Eastern time on my Facebook page. And then normally I go live on Fridays, but I'm going to be at a Stampin' Up! Event over the weekend, so I will not be going live on Friday. After that, I should be back to my normal 2 o'clock Eastern time on Tuesdays for my Facebook Lives, and then 2 o'clock Eastern time on Fridays for my YouTube Lives. So hopefully, once we get back in school and everything gets settled, things will all be good again. It's just a little crazy up until that time. So thanks for putting up with me and the nonstop changes to the schedule. I appreciate you all being here. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Enjoy your weekend. Let me know if you have any questions. Again, look for the details on my blog for this card tomorrow. Chat with you all soon.